we did have the first half. I thought was a little bit Slim. Did you get to see the first half or?
Well, the first half kind of aggravated me, if I'm going to be honest. I say the first half. The first quarter, it almost seemed like they needed a quarter, and maybe it was because of the lightning delay, which you do see happen. But the first quarter, definitely, they had to get their head out of their butts.
Right, 100%. And, it was pouring down rain there, right at first. And then, the god-awful humidity that's going to come after that. So, it does take, you get pumped up, ready to play, then you have to sit for 2.5 hours and wait, and then go back out there in the humidity. So. Yeah,
they were a little sluggish coming off, but I do think that can definitely be attributed to the delay, and then, of course, the rain there at the beginning. I'm not sure what Ball State's plan was there throughout, really any of the game, but especially the first half. It's like I realize that the weather kind of favors the run game, but when you have the level of quarterback and receivers we do, they're still going to be able to get passes off. So trying to completely sell out on the run, I don't know, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
I'm sorry, I had to step away for a second. What did I miss?
We started covering the game. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, judging by what you're saying, in that game, Ball State was just completely selling out, stacking the box and being like, "We dare you to throw the ball, Mr. Heisman candidate quarterback with 300 yards in each of his last 2 games. There's no way you could beat us passing." And it's like, okay, bro. That's what you want to do.
Yeah, what do you think? What do you attribute the sluggish start? What do you think it was because of the 2-hour delay, and then, of course, the rain at the beginning of the game?
I think it was that, and then even then, people are like, "Oh, they had this really like sluggish start." It was 10. When you're coming off a 2-hour delay, and then it's 10-0 at the end of the first quarter. Then there was Jacoby George dropped the ball. And something that we need to remember is Ball State had the ball longer than us in the first half. I think the time of possession was like 16.5 minutes to 13.5 minutes, roughly around there. So, they had more possession of the football. They were burning more time on the clock. So maybe that's why, halfway through the second quarter, the score wasn't exactly what people expected it to be. But 31 points and a half. You score 10 points in the first quarter and then come out in the second quarter and score 21 points. That's what you would hope for against a team when you're like Miami playing a team like Ball State. So,
that's why I really wasn't upset about the first half. Wasn't really the way to put it. I think it was, like I said, the sluggish start, which, like we said, could just be attributed to the 2-hour delay because you get pumped up, you're ready to go, get that adrenaline dump, and then, oh, wait, now we have to sit here on our thumbs for 2 hours.
It was so bad that there was one, they had them come out and warm up for a 4:45 kickoff, and then they delayed the game for another hour, and the guys had to come back out after that hour and then warm up again.
Yeah.
And, just looking at the scoring summary, we scored with 6:15 left in the first quarter on an 11-play, 71-yard drive that lasted 5 minutes and 10 seconds. I'm sorry, we scored a field goal, that was the drive that Jacoby dropped the third down. And then we scored an Xavier Restrepo touchdown pass with 2:34 left. And then it sort of went – and then our next score didn't come until a Chris Johnson 37-yard touchdown pass off a 7th-play 82-yard drive that lasted for 3 minutes. But there was one drive that I think it was sort of set back penalty, and we turned on third down and we had to run it. And then Ball State had a drive that was kept alive way longer than it should have been because there was that terrible roughing the passer call on Wesley Basaint. And then
that was a bad call. I saw the exact same thing happen in Georgia.
Immediately the next play, the Ball State receiver clearly fumbles. He not only catches the ball, but then he takes 2 steps and makes a move, and the refs are like, "No, that's an incomplete pass." And oh, by the way, we're not going to review it. 3rd down, and it's just like, bro, what? Like what?
Yeah, those were two back-to-back really bad calls, I thought. But
yeah, and then they picked up the 1st down and they got it to midfield and they punted, whatever, and we got the ball with like 4 minutes left, and then we went on that touchdown drive. But like that's really what it was from.
Can we officially blame it on the refs that we didn't win by 60?
I mean, we did win.
Well, we did win by 60.
We did win by 60.
Oh, well, yeah, that's right. I mean, I meant to say 70, but yeah.
By 90. We should have won by 90.
Right, we should have won by 90. 69.
Well, I was
kind of hoping for 69.
I'd be the wrong person to ask if that was a legitimate roughing the passer, because I don't think any of them are legitimate.
I mean, no, you'd especially be pissed about this one because it was just like it's not even that Wesley Bassett got there half a second late. He got there on time as the quarterback's arm is moving forward, and they're like, "Oh, he hit him up high," and it's like, "Are you fucking stupid? His hands are high because he's trying to block the pass, but he can't block the pass, so he runs into the damn quarterback. That's not a hit up high."
Well, yeah. Well, in the NFL, that is roughing the passer. Now, if they have that same rule in college, once again, I don't agree with it. I don't like it, but because I saw it, I saw a replay of it, and no, I don't think it was roughing the passer, but I said I don't think any of it is.
Yeah, they're way too that rule's getting way too strict. I mean, if you can't go out there and play the game, then it doesn't really
I
make
have
sense.
I have a little update. I don't know how interesting this is to y'all, but Toledo is beating Mississippi State 35-3.
Wow.
And Kentucky's still up over Georgia as well, so that's quite interesting.
Also, can we talk about something that's a little bit of a hot topic that I feel we haven't really touched on? Sam Brown. I see a lot of people giving hate to him, and I can't fully judge it because I'm gonna act like I go back and watch every play and see what these guys are doing. But there are a lot of plays where it's like, Sam Brown, you need to catch the football. Like a lot of these plays, like they're hitting you. It's hitting both your hands, and you're just dropping the ball. Some people are talking about lack of effort on some plays. I don't know. Is that something you guys have noticed at all? I mean, I've noticed the drops, but I don't know about the lack of effort.
The drops.
It hasn't looked like lack of effort to me. I've noticed the drops, and I wouldn't say it's looked like a lack of effort. Because I've even seen him lay out for some. I don't know. Like I've just.
Yeah, I mean,
when it comes to transfers, especially receivers, not everybody learns the playbook at the same rate. Not everybody, like it's almost like it just hasn't quite clicked for him. And listen, if it's not going to click, this is where you want it not to.
Yeah. And also with the lack of everything, I find that just interesting because a lot of the plays that I do remember him on, it's for lack of effort. It's for plays like the second touchdown in the Florida game where he gets that big block that allows Mark Fletcher to go into the end zone and score. So I've seen effort out there from him from what I remember.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm not going to act like I remember every play or I go back and watch every play. But, I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on that because it is a point of conversation that I have seen and I was seeing during today's game. And I remember he did drop a couple passes and people were comparing him to a certain Miami receiver from the past who I'm not going to name names, but he wore the number 8 and he was known for dropping the ball. And that's where I'm going to leave that.
Well, we won't call out anybody's name.
Like I said, I've seen effort like you brought out, especially in blocking.
Yeah.
And listen, I also don't think now, like you, I haven't gone back and watched every single play. I know several of the drops by him I've seen was some of it's good coverage. I mean, this isn't a 4-2 guy that's going to burn everybody. But some of the ones he's dropped is with a guy draped over him. It happens.
No, and there was one today that I saw people blaming him for, and I'm like, and it was on a play where Cam clearly threw behind him, and he gets a hand on it, and at the same time that he gets a hand on it, he's getting hit from the back. It's like, what is he supposed to do there? Not only did his quarterback throw it behind him, but getting hit at the same time. Like, can we take it a little easy? Like, I get that we're passionate and we expect a lot from players in this program and this program, but you're not going to get perfect on every play. I mean, Cam has said it, Cam Underwood, that is, on the Wednesday show. I've heard him say it a few times where it's like, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And I don't think he's necessarily even been that good or that great. He hasn't really blown me away with anything he's done, but he's not out here killing the team. He's not, he's not hurting us out there too much or really at all yet. So I don't know. I'd say just take it easy on that, because at the end of the day, these guys do see these things.
Now, I'll tell you something that's definitely not hurting, and I called this in the off season, and I've been waiting for it, and you mentioned it a minute ago. That touchdown pass to Chris Johnson Jr., that's what I've been waiting to see, is that man catch a pass with some feel in front of him and some good blocking and just drop a gear on everybody. No, and that's exactly what he did.
What's great is in the second half especially, they were using him. They would motion him out of the backfield and use him on screens. They would use him on a lot of swing passes. They would pass him out of the backfield. Like, they were very much including him in the passing game. They were using that type of passing game as an extension of the run game. And when you have a player like Chris Johnson, who is a track star, a legitimate high school track star, that is potentially very dangerous when we get to ACC play. And it could be dangerous next week when we play the second best team in Florida, USF. Because let's face it, FSU in Florida. Let's face it, FSU in Florida. Florida.
Well, they're fighting for second place right now. UCF has it by default.
I'm sorry, I forget those jokers.
They're easily forgettable. Yeah, they are.
Yeah. It's especially funny when they're like, it's a big 4 now, not a big 3. And it's like, dude, I forget you're even in the Power 5. Like, come on. Or Power 4, sorry.
Now, what did you think of Emory Williams today? Did you get to watch? Did you get to watch much of that, or?
Yeah. He actually looked really good. And it's obviously great to see him out there after he had that devastating injury end his season last year. He didn't play last game. They gave the nod to Reese, but today he got the nod, which it's nice to see, because last year we had that point of conversation with a certain backup quarterback that wasn't getting playing time. He looked good.
He threw for 11 out of 12 for 161 yards. So.
Yeah, they had. Yeah, and here's my thing too. When they're jumping on Sam, there were 10 incompletions in the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
10.
Right.
Yeah, and also
I'm not. When you have 10 incompletions for an entire game and you have upwards of 40 passes, I'm not complaining. I'm just not.
Yeah, not just that, but it was great to see Emory in plays that aren't just screen, slant, screen.
Right. Yeah, they actually let him throw, which was cool.
Right. Beautiful pass to Elijah Lofton. Which is another thing. It's great to see these tight ends actually getting implemented in the offense this year. You had Elijah Lofton 2 catches for 51 yards and a touchdown. Cam McCormick got a catch for 9 yards. Elijah Arroyo 2 catches, 53 yards with a touchdown. And then we obviously saw it in the Florida game. We saw it last week against FAMU. It just, like they were saying it on the broadcast at the end of the game, It really does open up the offense and gives you more options when you're able to implement your tight ends like that.
Oh, it does, and your tight ends have to be an effective weapon if you want to make a run, any kind of a run at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, last year we saw like tight ends had like 150 yards, and when you pair lack of tight end play with, the hell is he doing?
Oh, you got a rat in your room, man.
He's rubbing himself on the door. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? No, my bro. I'm not gonna say. I'll tell you that in the back. My brother just had to give him a bath. Fucking stupid dog. I love him though. But whatever. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I mean last year when you paired the ineffectiveness of the tight ends, largely because Elijah Arroyo did not play last year, with a quarterback who could not read a defense and was throwing 3 interceptions a game, you saw the defense that we had during the middle of last season. But then now you have an elite Heisman caliber quarterback with very good receivers, which we had good receivers last year, and great tight end play, and you have the most points in school history through 3 games.
I'm gonna take it kind of easy on he who must not be named, because for those that didn't watch, I was before we got up and going and out of the house today for what we were doing. I was watching an Alabama-Wisconsin game, and he left that game early, and it did not look good. That was a bad hit. Yeah, he came back out later in street clothes and crutches with his leg in a brace. It looked like his right knee. That didn't look good. And I mean, I don't wish injury on anybody.
No, I mean,
who are you talking about?
Van Dyke.
Oh, I didn't catch that. I missed that game. So
yeah, it was like 4 minutes into the game, he went diving for a first down and like probably like I'm not even exaggerating when I say it's like blew his knee out. Like he was back on the sideline he was back on the sidelines in a brace with crutches. Like,
oh wow.
Yeah, it didn't look good. I watched it in real time. That did not look good.
And again, like what I'm like the comments that I was making there, like obviously like I hope he's okay. He always seemed like a nice dude, but like he just wasn't getting it cut here. He was too inconsistent. He had great games in 2021. 2022, I'm not going to say anything. You pair a bad offensive coordinator, and he was injured all that year. You know, he messed up his shoulder against Duke, and then messed it up again against FSU, and then messed it up again against Pitt.
Listen, and this isn't going to be a popular opinion, because a lot of Miami fans got pissy when Luke Fickell took that shot in the offseason. But he's not wrong. Luke Fickell is not wrong. Now, it's not Mario's fault necessarily, but it is Miami's fault. He's had, in his time at Miami, he had 4 offensive coordinators and 2 head coaches. That's not a recipe for success or development for anybody. Nobody's going to do good under those circumstances. And it could be, you stick Trevor Lawrence in those circumstances. He had 4. Because don't forget, when he first came in, he was a Dan Enos recruit.
Yeah, Dan Enos recruited him, but he never played under Dan Enos. He was a freshman in the 2020 year.
He went from, yes, but every recruit, you go from learning one handbook when you're recruited to by January, you're being handed another playbook.